Alright, what's up everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today we have another episode of the Look-In series, a series where at the end of each team season, I go in, recap the team season, look at the future, the state of the team, and all the stuff like that. Today's episode is on the Indiana Pacers. Got a lot to talk about with this Pacers team. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. Join the membership. If you want to learn more about the membership, there's a video on my channel explaining all of it. You can go back and watch that. Link to my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that in the description down below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So the Indiana Pacers this season, they finished the regular season 47-35, sixth in the Eastern Conference, make it back to the playoffs for the first time in 4 years, and eventually they end up losing the conference finals to the Boston Celtics the other day. They get swept. Fortunate ends the season, but it was a very fun season for the Indiana Pacers. I mean, they came out, they had a really amazing start. They make it all the way to the in-season tournament finals, which is what Tyrese Halliburton and this Pacers team really made a name for themselves. They eventually end up losing to the Lakers, but an amazing start to the season and could show some success later on. You know, they went through a little rough patch, I want to say, near the middle of the season. After that, Tyrese Halliburton suffered a hamstring injury that kind of bugged him throughout the entirety of the rest of the season. And then they make a big trade to go trade for Pascal Siakam. They go make that big trade, to kind of push this team's, like, I want to say, timeline into a little bit more of the now than the future. They have a good end to the season, finished sixth in the East. They go in the first round. They beat the Bucks in six. They upset the Bucks. Then they upset the Knicks in the second round in 7 games, and eventually end up getting swept by the Boston Celtics. Even though, gotta give credit to them, it was amazing games. They really could have won due to unfortunate circumstances. Game one, they had a couple turnovers late in the game. Tyrese Halliburton moving the ball out of bounds. Pascal Siakam going for the loose ball for no reason, and then giving up the Jalen Brown 3-pointer in the corner. Eventually go to overtime. Boston wins that game. Game three, they're up by as many as 18 points, and they let the lead slip away into Drew Holiday hitting the and one layup and then getting the steal. And then game four, where they didn't score for the last 3.5 minutes of the game, and Boston came out. Derek White hits a big 3-pointer, and Boston wins that game. So the Pacers, I mean, you got to credit them. They gave it all they got. It could have been a lot better. They could have won a couple games in that series, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Everyone expected the Celtics to win that series. They just weren't as talented, especially then losing Tyrese Halliburton for the last 2 games of the series. Just really, really tough. And now it's going to be a very interesting future of the Indiana Pacers. I'm very interested to see what happens next year, what happens this offseason, what direction the Pacers go in because they made a conference finals appearance this early. First of all, we got to give credit to some of the Pacers players this year. Tyrese Halliburton has ejected into a future star, it looks like, this season. While, yes, he didn't have the entirety of the season success because of the hamstring injury, but still finished averaging 20 points and almost 11 assists per game on 47, 36, 85 shooting. Was named an All-Star and named the All-NBA team. So he's going to be a feature of this team. Pascal Siakam in his 41 games averaged 21, 7, and 3 on 55, 38, 70 shooting. Miles Turner had a great season, averaging 17 and 7 with 2 blocks. The playoffs as well, he was amazing. The playoffs, he averaged 17 and 6 on 51, 45, 76 shooting. Really made a name for himself in the playoffs. Andrew Nembhard had a really good season, especially in the playoffs. Andrew Nembhard averaged 15, 3, and 5 on 56, 48, 77 splits. In the last 2 games against Boston, he was amazing. So we'll see what happens with Andrew Nembhard in the future. And they have so many other guys really contribute. Aaron Nesmith at 24 is really finding a role for himself. He averaged 12 points per game on 42% shooting from three and became the starting four, became one of the better perimeter defenders on this team. Obi Toppin, in his first year in Indiana, came off the bench and was one of the best bench scorers in the playoffs. He averaged 10 points and 4 rebounds off the bench on 40% shooting from three. TJ McConnell, what more can you really say about TJ McConnell? Averaging 10 points, 5.5 assists on 55% shooting. And he gets to the playoffs. He averaged 12 and 5 on 48% shooting from the field. He was phenomenal so far this season. Ben Shepherd, as a rookie, was in the rotation and started a couple games in the playoffs. Unfortunately, they did lose Bennedict Mathurin 59 games into the season after he was averaging 14.5 points per game. And I'm very interested in his future with this team. But this Pacers team, I mean, they have a lot of great young talent. I mean, look at the nucleus of this team. Tyrese Halliburton's 23. Bennedict Mathurin is 21. Aaron Nesmith is 24. Obi Toppin is 25. Andrew Nembhard is 24. Isaiah Jackson, who's in the rotation in the playoffs, is 22. Jalen Smith is 23. Ben Shepherd is 22. Jarace Walker, who's a top 10 pick, only played 33 games this year. He's 20 years old. he's going to be a part of this team's future, maybe, depending on what happens with Pascal Siakam, depending on what role he can find with this team. So there's a lot of great young talent with this Indiana Pacers team. They had an amazing season, made all the way to the conference finals, but now it's very interesting to see what happens for this offseason and what direction do the Indiana Pacers go really this offseason. You know, like is are they going? I'm assuming what I assume with the San Diego Pacers team, they're gonna give. They already came out a report yesterday saying they're gonna try to give Pascal Siakam the max to keep him around there because he's a big part of this team. I assume they're gonna build in a win now direction. That's what I assume is gonna happen. Um, what they do in terms of going in a win down direction, I think seeing this playoffs, I think maybe needing another guy could potentially be a thing. Even though their offense was the best offense in the league, or well, the second best offense at the end of the season, but they're amazing offensive team. They move the ball around a lot. They have a lot of great shooters and great offensive contributors. But I think especially going into a playoff setting, having one more guy wouldn't be bad, especially depending on how Tyrese Halliburton's aggressiveness, how it goes up and down, you know, and I don't think relying on Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nemhard and TJ McConnell to combine to give you 20 points is a really amazing strategy for the playoffs. So I think having one more guy could be nice. Now that could be maybe Bennedict Mathurin, depending on how he develops. And I think he's a big part of this. He's a big question of this future because they didn't go to the playoff run without him. He's a very good. Obviously, he's shown he can score the ball. He's shown that. It's just gonna be what is his. How is the rest of his game gonna round out? Is he gonna become a good defender? Is he gonna become a guy that can make plays for others as well? Can he become a reliable, consistent 3-point shooter? That's what it's really gonna come around to. And if he can become some of those things, then I think he could be the one more guy. He could be the number three with Tyrese Pascal and then Bennedict Mathurin's another guy who can give you 20, 25 points you need him to as a third guy consistently. Sometimes he could be the second option, sometimes maybe the first option. But if that never comes around, I could realistically see him becoming a role as kind of just a six-man scorer, which is not a bad thing at all. Obviously, there's a lot of guys. I mean, Jordan Clarkson, Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford. Like, there's so many amazing players that have become six-man scorers, and those are needed in the NBA, obviously. And those are big. Those are roles that teams would love to have. But it also doesn't make him untouchable to being moved for something else. I think. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the Pacers do this offseason in terms of I don't know about the free agent market because looking at their salary cap, they don't have a lot of salary. And then if you're bringing Pascal Siakam back, that's obviously going to be most of their money right there. But it's going to be interesting to see if they make a trade. If they do make another trade, maybe not even the offseason, but maybe during the middle of next season, where they package some of these young guys up and maybe a pick or two and go get something else to be a third with Tyrese Halliburton and with Pascal Siakam. That's going to be interesting to see. But now looking towards, the offseason, they don't have a first round pick this year, but they do have 3 second round picks that potentially could be something. So that's the draft. And look at free agency, they have one of the lowest cap space. They have negative $73 million of cap space available. And looking at their free agency, Pascal Siakam's obviously going to be a free agent. Obi Toppin has some, is going to be a free agent, restricted free agent. I'm pretty sure, but I said he'll be a free agent. Those are only 2 really good big guys on their roster. After that, you still got Tyrese Halliburton's going to start making his money. Yeah, Obi Toppin's going to be a restricted free agent. No one else really important. After that, Tyrese Halliburton's going to start making his money. Jalen Smith is a player option, which he probably is going to take. And then after that, you're going to have to start paying some money pretty soon, as soon as next season. Miles Turner's on the last year of his contract. TJ McConnell's on the last year of his contract. Bennedict Mathurin's going to be eligible for some money. Isaiah Jackson's eligible for extension. Andrew Nemhard is eligible for an extension, which you're going to have to pay Nemhard, potentially. So, San Diego Pacers team is going to start running into some salary cap issues. So, some players are probably going to be out the door. And I think Bennedict Mathurin could be a guy that can get you back some good things. Andrew Nemhard, I love it. I think I love Andrew Nemhard. He's an amazing player. Is he going to have to be the odd man out? in this scenario? Maybe. I don't know. Potentially. Between Andrew Nemhard and Bennedict Mathurin for the Indiana Pacers, who are you picking between? Because there's a world where you're probably going to have to pick between one of them. Because paying Tyrese, paying Pascal, Miles Turner, I assume you're going to want to bring him back. Aaron Nesmith still has a couple more years on his contract. At that point, you're going to have a lot of money allocated to some players, especially if you sign some role players and stuff in this free agency. So you might have to pick between one of Bennedict Mathurin and Andrew Nemhard. And right now, may pick Andrew Nemhard just because, he fits in so well with this team. Bennedict Mathurin might even have to be on the move. It's just the Pacers are going to have to start making a lot of decisions pretty soon. And I think if they do go into a win now mode, there's a world, there's a potential where they can start making moves with some young players that maybe they don't have to make right now. Because I think I don't want the Pacers to go down a road that they could potentially go down that messes up the future of this team. In a sense of, I don't want the Pacers to do what the Hawks are doing. Because this run, did I say in a video when the Pacers made the conference finals? I'm not very sure. I don't know if I did or not. I can't remember. But as soon as the Pacers made the conference finals, I was thinking that this run looks very similar-ish to the Hawks run back in 2021 when they made the conference finals and eventually ended up losing to the Milwaukee Bucks, where they beat the Knicks in the first round in 5, they beat the Sixers in 7 in the second round, and then they got beat by the Bucks, made the conference finals, and now everyone was like, oh shoot, the Hawks are in the conference finals. The Hawks front office and everybody was kind of like, oh shoot, like, we're good now. So let's start making moves to get back here. And they made some moves. They traded some young players. They traded John Collins. They made the DeJounte Murray trade. Did all this stuff for the win now mode. And they haven't even made it close to back. They haven't even made it out of the first round since 2021. They missed the playoffs for a couple years. So, and now they're in a very weird position right now where Trae Young might not be a Hawk anymore. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in Atlanta. And I don't want the Indiana Pacers to do similar things where they made it to this conference finals appearance and now they think, oh shoot, we're here now. Let's start making moves to win right now. And maybe they do trade a Bennedict Mathurin and Andrew Nemhard and Aaron Nesmith, and maybe they do package Jarace Walker and a couple picks up for their future, a couple first round picks up, and go try to get another star type player, and then it doesn't work out. And then it's like, now we don't really have a future because we traded away Bennedict Mathurin, we traded away Jarace Walker, we traded Andrew Nemhard, we did all these things, and now we're stuck in a very odd position. But I will say I do think this Pacers team is in a way better position than what the Atlanta Hawks team was in 2021. I do think that. I do think that this Pacers team is better than that 2021 Hawks team and are in a better position than that team was in. But I do think there's a world where this Pacers team, this Pacers front office might start making big moves that maybe they're not ready for yet. Because let's be honest here, Pacers did get lucky getting this conference finals appearance. They did get some injury luck on their side. Giannis Antetokounmpo didn't play in the first round. Damian Lillard missed a couple games in the first round. Julius Randle was injured for the Knicks. The Knicks had like 5-6 players injured in their series. And they made it to the conference finals. Now, I'm not saying this to discredit I'm not saying this to try and discredit the Indiana Pacers. Because I do feel like that's a conversation that I don't like. Where some players are like, oh, but he was injured. They made this a fake conference finals appearance, all that stuff. And it's like, the Pacers can't really control that. The Pacers can't control that Giannis got hurt. The Pacers can't control that Damian Lillard got hurt. The Pacers can't control Julius Randle was injured. Pacers can't control that Mitchell Robinson got hurt in their series and Jalen Brunson broke his hand in Game 7. Like, the Pacers can't control that. So what do you want the Pacers to do when they face an injured team in the playoffs? They can't forfeit the games or anything like that. They just got to go out and play. And credit to them, they won those games. There's been a lot of scenarios and stuff where another team was injured and it should have been a cakewalk or an easier series for the other team, and the other team couldn't capitalize, and the injured team still won. So you got to credit the Indiana Pacers that they won those games still, and they made it here, despite injuries and all. They did get some injury luck, but in the NBA playoffs, you need luck at the end of the day. The Celtics got luck because they've had a lot of injuries, but you can go back the last couple years in the playoffs. You can go back the last 5 years in the playoffs and see that most likely there's a 99% chance that if a team has made it to the NBA Finals or the Conference Finals, they've gotten some luck on their side. At the end of the day, you need luck to win an NBA championship. You need luck. It just is. It's a thing. You need the stars to align perfectly for you to win. And for the Pacers, the stars aligned in the first 2 rounds that they can make a conference finals appearance. And you can't change that. No matter how much you talk about it, no matter how much you say, oh, but they had injury stuff, you can't change the fact they were in the conference finals. So, you know, but I just don't want the Indiana Pacers to go down a road where they think they are one of the top 4 teams in the NBA. Because next season, the Eastern Conference, the Celtics are going to be back. The Bucks are going to be healthy with a full off season of Dame in Milwaukee and Doc Rivers in Milwaukee. I assume they're going to be better. The 76ers have $60 million of cap space. Paul George or someone is coming to Philly, and they're going to be a really good team. The Knicks are going to be back to fully 100% next season. The Orlando Magic are a good young team. And who knows? Maybe who knows what other team? Who knows what craziness can happen? Maybe who knows if the Miami Heat somehow come out next season and start dominating? Who knows if a team like the Atlanta Hawks for some reason come out of nowhere and all of a sudden are good next season? Like you never know. The Cavaliers are a very big wild card team if they come back next year with still having Donovan Mitchell making some good changes. So this isn't. I don't get me wrong. I don't think the Pacers are going to be going to be like the Hawks where they miss the playoffs and stuff next season. I think the Pacers are right now in the Eastern Conference. They're a playoff team. They're a top 8 team at the very least for the San Antonio Pacers team. They're really good, but I just don't want the Pacers to start making moves like they're a contender when they're not a contender yet. That's all I'm trying to say. Is I don't want the Pacers to make moves like they are a contender when they're not a contender right now in the East. And how can they make a contender? If they do maybe go out and trade for a disgruntled star and have the pieces to, maybe, I think. Maybe just getting an extra year, getting a full off season of Pascal Siakam in Indiana and incorporating him into the game plan, I think can do wonders for this team. I think having an extra year, having a full off season to get Tyrese Halliburton healthy, another year of Tyrese Halliburton, another year of Andrew Nemhard, Betting Mathurin being fully healthy. I think there's a world where they could be a really good team again in the Eastern Conference, but there's still a lot of teams I would pick over them in terms of playoff success. So we'll see what happens with the Indiana Pacers this offseason. They're a very young, fun, up and coming team, and let's see what their front office really thinks of this team. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. And once again, if you like content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate every episode a lot. And if you missed any of the other looking episodes, there's a playlist should be up right here. You can go check those out. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.